I'm a 31-year-old nurse battling excruciating pain and uncertainty from endometriosis, questioning if my body is failing me. I am 31 years old, female, and I recognize that there is a health issue affecting me. However, no one has been able to provide answers thus far. My medical history includes generalized anxiety disorder, fibromyalgia, low mood, endometriosis, diagnostic laparoscopy in October 2020, excision in March 2021, and very likely adenomyosis. The excision surgery revealed that I had stage 3 endometriosis, with a partially obliterated pouch of Douglas that was fused to my rectum, superficial lesions on my fallopian tubes, bladder, and peritoneal lesions. In April 2022, I underwent a hysteroscopy due to persistent pain following my excision surgery. A Mirna coil was placed during the diagnostic laparoscopy in 2020, and I have been taking the progesterone-only pill twice a day since the hysteroscopy in an attempt to manage my pain. During the hysteroscopy, nothing significant was discovered, apart from an irregular uterus that appeared adenomyotic. Prior to my excision surgery, I had 6 months of Zoladex, which induces medical menopause, to help alleviate my pain. The pain was relatively well controlled until approximately December 2023, when, after playing with my niece for a while, I experienced severe cramps again. From that point onwards, the pain slowly became more frequent and intensified. My endometriosis pain was never solely related to my menstrual cycle. It has always been constant, and it was once again becoming persistent. The pain escalated to the point where, on one occasion, I was unable to speak, move, or cry, and could only rock back and forth in a fetal position. After receiving advice over the phone from triage, I went to the accident and emergency department and was admitted for 4 days due to my pain. I was given all available pain relief options, which barely provided any relief. The cramps were unrelenting, accompanied by stabbing sensations and jolting pain in my lower body. My pelvic area felt burned from hot water bottles, but since I had a diagnosis of endometriosis, I had to repeat the STD swabs, which, as expected, returned negative. My smear test results were normal, and the internal ultrasound appeared to be normal as well. Eventually, after being prescribed tramadol and diclofenac suppositories, which were later switched to etorixib, I was discharged once again. Unfortunately, the pain continued unabated. I took sick leave for my clinical duties in March and was completely off work by May 2024. I met with my gynecologist again, who placed me back on Zoladex for another 6 months alongside the pill I was already taking, and scheduled an exploratory laparoscopy in June to determine the cause of my pain. Around the onset of symptoms in December 2023, I frequently experienced reflux and nausea, along with occasional lightheadedness. The dreadful bloating persisted. My childhood physician diagnosed me with irritable bowel syndrome, owing to my painful experiences when using the restroom twice weekly and ongoing bloating with frequent flatulence. The exploratory laparoscopy in June 2024 indicated, according to my gynecologist, no new endometriosis, an adenomyotic uterus, and severe distension of the colon. I informed both my general practitioner and gynecologist that since my symptoms had returned, I noticed fresh blood with bowel movements. My fecal immunochemical test returned positive at 400. Due to these findings and the observations made by my gynecologist, I underwent an urgent colonoscopy to rule out colon cancer. The colonoscopy results were clear except for 2 ulcers with inflammation in the terminal ileum. The gastroenterologist advised me to discontinue etorixib and submit a specific sample for calprotectin in January 2025. My follow-up appointment with gynecology proved to be somewhat unhelpful. I was informed that there was nothing that could be done regarding my pain and that it was likely a result of nerve damage from endometrial scar tissue or bowel complications. However, this seemed improbable given the gastroenterology assessment, and it appeared to be gynecology-related. There was a back-and-forth exchange between the 2 specialties for 2 months. After learning that pelvic floor physiotherapy might assist with chronic pelvic pain, I opted for a self-referral and also requested a referral from my GP to a pain management clinic. However, recovery from the surgery in June did not seem to progress as anticipated. I was more fatigued than ever, experiencing lightheadedness at unprecedented levels, to the extent that it became a daily occurrence, accompanied by palpitations and near-fainting spells. I continued to have hot flashes, which I presumed would improve as time went on following my withdrawal from Zoladex, similar to the previous experience, but as of today, they persist along with night sweats. Currently, my GP suspects it might be postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and I have a cardiology appointment scheduled for June 2025. My iron levels were checked, and I underwent 3 months of ferrous fumarate to determine if my symptoms would improve, which did not occur. I am adhering to my GP's advice, aiming for 3 liters of fluid intake per day, wearing compression stockings, and consuming additional salt. My symptoms have slightly improved in the sense that I rarely experience near-fainting episodes anymore, aside from the occasional one, often after a poor night's sleep. My pelvic floor physiotherapy is progressing adequately. She assessed that I have a hypertonic pelvic floor with a bit of weakness simultaneously. I am still off work for my clinical duties as an intensive care unit nurse, and I miss my job dearly. Occupational health informed me that I should only perform seated duties until the cardiology appointment, after which I would review my situation with my manager or with occupational health again, depending on my manager's preference. However, my manager indicated that due to the high demand at the trust, they can only offer me seated duties until mid-April. By that time, I need to return to my full hours, 34.5, and resume all clinical responsibilities. If this does not happen, I may have to be redeployed. My smartwatch consistently indicates that my heart rhythm is normal sinus, which does not align with what I am experiencing. My self-knowledge of ECG suggests that nothing seems significantly alarming. I have been advised to be patient, as cardiology will likely provide a 48-hour continuous monitor. Yet, I worry that nothing will be found, despite my perception that something is indeed wrong with my body, as it feels like I am gradually deteriorating since the surgery last year in 2024. My calprotectin levels were noted to be elevated at 625 at the end of January, prompting an upcoming specialized MRI of my small intestine in March. The occupational health doctor recommended that I arrange an appointment with my GP to be tested for hypermobility, which is also scheduled for March. Personally, I do not believe I am hypermobile. While I am flexible, I score low on the Baton assessment as I cannot hyperextend my arms or touch my thumb to my forearm. I can, however, reach the floor with my palms flat while keeping my legs straight and hyperextend my knees, but I'm unsure whether the extent exceeds the diagnostic criteria. I was indeed more flexible in my younger years, often demonstrating this to my family by putting my legs behind my head. I am exhausted from medical testing, and waiting for results only leads to the need for more tests. It feels as though my health is disrupting both my personal life and career. I struggle to trust my body, which has led to a sense of isolation. I feel that I disappoint my friends when I have to cancel plans on difficult days. While the pain has become more manageable thanks to gabapentin prescribed by the pain team, it has not alleviated my lightheadedness or palpitations. I worry that I am becoming a burden to my partner, especially when he sometimes needs to assist me with basic tasks, such as showering, as standing in the shower can feel overwhelming. I have been unwell for the entirety of our relationship, which began in early 2020, before I was aware of my endometriosis, during a time when I was still striving to be taken seriously by my GP. But in the past year, I feel as though I am holding him back. He denies this, of course, expressing that he loves me as I am and that even though we are not yet married, he is committed to me in sickness and health. He is incredibly supportive, and I love him dearly, but I don't want to hinder his life. I have a strong sense that something is not right, and I cannot comprehend why everything seems to have worsened since my last surgery. I desire and require answers. Additionally, I am anxious about what will happen with my work if I need to be redeployed due to my potential POTS symptoms, as I must be in a safe condition to provide care for my patients, both for their safety and my own. Being a nurse is part of my identity. I care for individuals and strive to enhance their well-being, even if I cannot resolve all their issues. I am there in their most challenging moments and will always be. I do not know what I would do if I were to be redeployed or unable to work as a nurse any longer. I am uncertain about what nursing roles are available in the UK that require seated duties. Whether such changes would be temporary or permanent remains unclear. The uncertainty of everything is incredibly frustrating. I plan to reach out to the Royal College of Nursing this week to seek advice and assistance regarding my employment, as I believe this is a prudent course of action. Other than that, I am thoroughly fed up with everything. Being in the UK while my family and friends reside in the Netherlands amplifies my feelings of loneliness. My boyfriend is doing his utmost to support me, but sometimes the comfort of having a close friend or a mother nearby is essential, and due to financial constraints on both sides, it is not always feasible to achieve that. If you have taken the time to read this, I appreciate your attention. I hope your day is kind to you. Additionally, I apologize for any grammatical errors in my writing. English is not my strongest language. Story 2. I excitedly shared my grade with a classmate, only for her to reveal everyone else was getting 90. Now I'm terrified of my mom finding out. I am currently an undergraduate student pursuing human biology. From September 2023 to April 2024, I completed a research project course as a requirement for my program, which involved conducting a research project while working in a laboratory. In that lab, there was a young woman named Lindsay, 22 years old. Lindsay and I first met in September 2022 due to the pandemic, as we had a few classes together. I liked her a great deal and found her to be genuinely kind. However, the research associate in our lab, Gunther, approximately 50 years old, appeared to greatly admire Lindsay and seemed to dislike me for some unknown reason. To be fair, Lindsay had more experience than I did since she had been working there since the summer. Gunther advised me to come in whenever possible and prioritize my other classes over the research work. Yet, he expressed frustration at me for not coming in frequently enough, accusing me of not exerting sufficient effort and not taking the research seriously. He constantly praised Lindsay while never acknowledging my contributions. I felt quite envious of Lindsay. I will graduate this year since I did not take a full course load last year for mental health reasons. During the second semester of last year, January 2024 to April 2024, I enrolled in 2 courses: 1, Environmental Health, and 2, Special Topics in Epidemiology. I dropped the Environmental Health course, but continued with the latter due to mental health considerations. To complicate matters, there was a young woman named Wanda, 22 years old, who was enrolled in both courses. Wanda was also part of the research project course, but was assigned to a different lab. I introduced myself to her in the environmental health class. Later, I decided to share why I was feeling happy that day. In retrospect, this was foolish of me since I hardly knew her at that point, but I was so enthusiastic that I couldn't hold back. I mentioned that I was performing better than I had anticipated in the research project course, achieving an 80% at that time, equivalent to an A in our grading system. She then exclaimed, "Oh no, you have the wrong supervisor. Everyone in that class is getting 90%. She wore a large smirk on her face, and her tone implied she had just uncovered a scandalous piece of celebrity gossip. I was taken aback by her comment. I remained silent, shot her a look, and turned away, effectively ending the conversation. I experience social anxiety and have been suspected of being on the autism spectrum, although I was never formally diagnosed. This leads me to question whether I am being overly sensitive. Despite sharing the special topics course, our interactions were minimal. The class was divided into groups, and we were assigned to different ones. Nevertheless, she reiterated the claim about everyone receiving 90s to her friend in her group, seemingly glancing at me as she spoke. She also giggled upon overhearing me express my excitement about Easter 2024, as my birthday occurs during that break, allowing me to celebrate without school. The research project course concluded in April 2024, and I received a grade of 83% A. The course average was representing scores between 80 to 84%. Only the letter grade is indicated for the course average. I have also connected with mutual classmates of Jiggy and me, including Sam, Nate, Benson, and Jules, among others. My mother occasionally suspects that I am concealing something from her. I am particularly anxious that one of our mutual classmates, especially Nate, 22 years old, who attended the environmental course with Wanda and me, will disclose what Wanda said to my mother, leading her to become upset and reprimand me. My mother has warned me that she would disown me if I were to keep any more secrets from her in the future. I sometimes contemplate whether I should inform her about my experience, because I frequently dream that my classmates come over and tell my mother what transpired. The dreams always conclude with my mother becoming angry and disowning me. Here is some context regarding why I am so concerned about Nate potentially disclosing details to my mother. I have become interested in astrology, and Uranus is currently transiting through my 12th house, with part of its description suggesting that secrets may be unveiled. Now, let us revisit the past to my elementary school days. I had a classmate named Christina, now 22 years old, with whom I became friends from kindergarten through high school. In our 6th grade year, 2013-2014, a new boy, Joseph, now 22 years old, moved into our neighborhood and joined our class. Christina informed me that he had been expelled from his previous school for bullying and picking fights with younger children. He targeted me for being overweight and achieving good grades. He typically received C/S with occasional B/S, while I mostly earned A's, with 2 B/S in visual arts and physical education. We ended up engaging in a physical altercation where he kicked me after I fell on the ice, resulting in bruises as I chased him. My mother questioned me about the bruises, but I simply claimed I had fallen. He also exhibited displeasure and gave me disdainful looks whenever I was chosen over him to respond to questions in class, especially when I answered correctly. I did not discuss my issues with him with my mother or older sister. They eventually discovered the situation after we went to the beach with Christina's family during the summer following 6th grade, summer 2014, where she disclosed everything. They were extremely upset with me for not confiding in them and remain displeased to this day, despite the fact that Joseph attended a different high school and now works as a cashier at a local grocery store. My mother usually enjoyed sharing our accomplishments with others, including the receptionist at our dentist's office. However, due to her anger about the Joseph situation, she lied and claimed that I was not doing well. This occurred after the receptionist inquired about me, as my mother wouldn't stop discussing my older sister and her achievements. She also began to praise Christina excessively, portraying her as perfect. Christina's academic performance was similar to Joseph's, yet she received more acknowledgement and affection, while I received none. I took great pride in my academic achievements, feeling validated by the hard work I put in. The previous year, I had gained weight, and my mother criticized me for it. My sister is slender and was constantly showered with praise. On one occasion, I took longer than expected to complete an art assignment, although I submitted it on time, and my mother became upset when I refused to join her on a walk that she insisted I take for my weight concerns, even though I had already promised to walk with her the following day when school would be out. This led me to feel envious of Christina. This experience has lingered in my mind and contributed to my anxiety about forming new friendships. Even now, I remain fearful that my mother will judge me and compare me to my friends. During a dental cleaning, the dentist advised me to share everything with my mother and warned against keeping secrets from her. My mother maintained that it is normal for children to disclose everything to their parents and that Christina does so, implying that I should emulate her behavior. My mother is skilled at gaining the support of others, as demonstrated by the dentist appointment incident. She also divulged information about my experiences with bullying to her coworkers. She would likely act similarly if she learned about my interaction with Wanda. She enjoys sharing my and my sister's personal matters with others. On one occasion, she saw Joseph working at the grocery store alongside several classmates who also had jobs there. A classmate inquired about me, and my mother proudly stated that I intended to attend medical school. She relished the opportunity to make that declaration in front of Joseph, intending to embarrass him. I dislike discussing my potential life plans because, back during the 2014-2015 school year, my teacher made fun of my aspirations during a class assignment where we were supposed to share our goals. especially after I struggled with a photo essay assignment she assigned us. This same teacher was also my art instructor during the 2015-2016 school year. Joseph received a grade he was displeased with for a nativity scene diorama assignment, and he confronted the teacher aggressively. She was exceptionally kind to him compared to her treatment of me, even commending him for setting goals. My mother would never let me forget if she discovered I had concealed my interaction with Wanda. The potential for further embarrassment looms if my life plans do not materialize, as I would be viewed as a failure, not only in her eyes but in everyone else's as well. In summary, I met a classmate in university named Wanda and wanted to share something positive with her, my unexpected grade, but her response was unkind, and I chose not to inform my mother. In elementary school, I experienced conflicts with a classmate, and I failed to discuss these issues with my mother. Christina ultimately informed my mother about what transpired, leading to her expectation that I share every detail with her, as she believes it is normal for children to do so because Christina does.